Surprise! We are live with Miss Alexandra Stark, who I am not liking today for all the right reasons, because we were supposed to record this and we have decided to go live because me, Kasia, hasn't posted in months and I have very good reasons for it, some of which we might talk about today. And so here we are. So, Alexandra, how did we get here?
I love that we're going live, totally unprepared, not scripted, not planned, no nothing, but our topic is unconventional. And then that's why I said it would be conventional to record and play safe and then, look at it. Oh, if it looks nice, we post it. And if not, no. Unconventional means just go live with all the technical issues, with all whatever comes our way. Doesn't matter. We just go live and talk about the things we want to talk about. And here we are, and I love it.
Yes, so here we are. So Alexandra and I have crossed paths on numerous events, online and in person, over the last years, and we literally connected in a container of other women. It's a year-long container where it's all about being unconventional, and it's typically the profile of the women is women who have had a career, have had some kind of corporate or business experience, and now are doing a business in an unconventional way. So we have crossed paths where at Tony Robbins events, with Success Resources, with Quantum Leap, and we literally connected being a part of this online container, and you dialing in from Germany and me being in Portugal, and here we are. The world of the internet brings us together, and hopefully we will meet in person one day, even though we have been, I'm pretty sure we sat next to each other at some point at some event because we've been to so many together.
Arizona next year, the latest.
Definitely. So speaking of unconventional, what an unconventional way to meet online, even though we have crossed paths so many times in person. But, in terms of unconventional, what has your journey been like to where you are today and what you're doing?
Oh, how many times do we have? No. my whole journey was unconventional because I never knew what I wanted to do, really. And it all changed when I started with personal development 11 years ago. Until then, my life was not conventional neither, but I was kind of clueless. And when you go on this journey of self-discovery and you get to know yourself and you dig deep of who you are and what you want and what your values are, and you find out, and this is a journey, and it will never stop. So we are constantly evolving and transforming, and this is the beauty of it. And I grew up in Spain, and I studied in the US and in France. So I speak multiple languages, and that's also what makes me unconventional, because I come along with so many cultures and religion. I'm so open-minded. I love to work with international women. I love to be with international people. It just lights me up. I think it's so exciting. Also in my work, I noticed that even though people come from all over the world, sometimes the problems are just the same. The issues are always the same, challenges. And it doesn't matter if you're a coach or trainer, you will know that there are certain patterns that always show up. And I'm very good in finding those patterns and mirroring them back to you and showing you where you're stuck and what you can do to get out of there. And I mean, this question is like so open. I could talk for 3 hours, so I don't want to talk about my journey. I think the topic is unconventional. What brought us here is our willingness to do things our own way.
Oh, yeah.
And to be brave and courageous. And the way that we have been conditioned all our lives. And due to personal development, we found out, hello, I am conditioned. This is not what my true soul really loves. And finding out what you really want in life and claim it and own it. This is still, unfortunately, unconventional, because so many people are still sitting in their boxes, comfortable and safe and playing small and people pleasing and all of that. And we decided to not do this anymore, to get out of that box, to throw away the box. We don't need the box. We build our own box if we want one. And we can do whatever we want to, and we don't have to people please, because we don't care what people think about us unless it's people we care. And just do what lights us up, and this needs courage, because you got to be brave, and you got to stand for what you stand for. You got to and say the thing that you believe in, and not caring what people may think about you, because you don't care if they like you or not. You follow your heart, that's it. And that is unconventional. And with this talk, we want to inspire other women to be more unconventional as well.
Yeah, and I guess, arriving at that mindset of, just having that emotional freedom, as I call it, not being at effect of other people's opinions and thoughts and what you should, what you could have. And, I'm unconventional in so many ways, especially, buying a one-way flight to Lisbon where I've never been. That's pretty unconventional, right?
Yes.
For me, it feels normal, right? So what might seem crazy for others, like, me leaving my corporate job in Google in the middle of the pandemic was very unconventional. But
Yeah.
for me, it's about the knowing. And like, as you mentioned, getting to know yourself and really understanding what's important to you through values, because we each have values. So for me, it's really important to live in alignment with my top values, as well as understanding what my needs are, and not just those of, food, shelter, and water, but really emotional needs. What fulfills me? What do I need emotionally? How do I nourish myself? And nourish not nourishment just of the body with, nutrients and food, but nourishing my soul and my spirit, and my passion for life. So for you, because we don't just wake up one day like this, right? It's a journey. You don't just wake up and it's like, okay, I'm just going to kind of do my own thing. So was there like a certain moment that you had the breakthrough, or how did you arrive at where you are right now?
I mean, maybe there were several moments. I can't even tell you a certain moment. It's the whole journey, just a lot of moments. And I know that I was very in my head. My whole life, I was a totally head person. And I didn't even know what gut means, gut feeling, or listening to your gut. I was like, what are people talking about? What does that mean, listening to your gut?
Yeah.
Intuition, what is that? I cannot grab it. It's not, I was so in my head. And it took me years, because apart from the personal development and the business coaching training seminars that I did, I also did some spiritual seminars, because very late, I started very late. Sometimes it's about timing. Sometimes you're not ready before of doing certain things. But I just felt I have to do a certain kind of spiritual awakening seminars, whatever. And I felt, I slowly start to understand what it means to listen to your gut and to your intuition. And the funny thing is, I did an HD reading, Human Design. I don't know if people know what that is, but I'm a sacral authority. So I have to decide from my gut. There is no way I can be in my head. And this is so funny. And it needs practice, because you cannot listen to your intuition when you are overstimulated on the outside. It requires to have time to sit still with yourself. And this is something that I could never do, because I'm a very extroverted person, always in movement. I'm always la 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 with people and da da da, and always surrounded with noise and sounds and people. So sitting still and just listening to myself is something like, what? How do I do that?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not, so I started to meditate, and this needs practice.
Yeah.
It really needs practice. But I noticed that for me, the best thing to connect to myself is to go for walks in nature. Because when I'm in the woods and I look at the trees and the green and the birds, and I just, there is nothing, just me and no music on, just, me and the sounds of the forest.
Yeah.
This is my meditation, and this is where I get my energy from.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's one of the reasons I moved to Portugal, because there was no logical reason for it. It wasn't for a job. I would typically relocate for a job because, Google, it's like, now we need you in Spain. No, come back to Dublin. Now you can go to London, right? But, or because of a partner. So, sometimes we move cities or countries because of our partner. And for me, I had neither of those reasons. And sometimes, on good days and even like the not so good days, I wonder, like, what am I doing here? But it's this deeper knowing that you don't have to understand, and know that you're here for a reason. And for me, as soon as I kind of got settled, because, I just packed up a suitcase and just like, let's see what happens. I can always go back, right? But ultimately, let's see what's here for me. And it's really interesting because once I got settled, I just started completely changing my life. And being in corporate and looking back at it in hindsight, I was very in my masculine energy, right? Because we have feminine energy and the masculine, and it has nothing to do with what gender you are. We each have masculine and feminine energies. And, you know, the masculine is all about the doing. And having been in corporate for over 15 years, it was all about execution, do. And then the feminine, even though you put on a nice dress and some lipstick, it's not about looking it, but being it, right? So looking back at it, I look at how much in my masculine I was, and we need both. And it's about finding that balance, and that balance is different for everyone. But I had a similar experience, kind of once you pull back the doing and you focus in on the being. How are you being? And this is what my focus is. This is what my programs are all about, because a lot of us have these big jobs, big titles. We have beautiful houses, cars, the luxury, the whatever it is that we have. But then we do things that we don't want to do to have the things that we want. And as a result, it's kind of like, you know, 3 circles, right? The having, the doing, and the being. And then the result of the having, doing the things we don't really want to do or we don't love, we're being stressed, we're being miserable, we're being out of alignment. So for me, what I do is the inverse of that. Who are you being? What is your experience of every day? And every day is not beautiful and amazing, especially, you know, when you're driven and focused on an outcome, because there are some activities that you need to do that are not always pleasurable. But, you know, most of the time, majority of the time, it's about being and not stressed, not being miserable, not being tense in your body, but being happy and joyful. And even now, you know, having the freedom, it's like, you know what? Yeah, why not? You know, having the freedom to do what you want and enjoying the process. Because me, just even like 2 years ago, I would have been so stressed. I'm like, I'm not going live. I'm not prepared. And none of this is scripted. It's just like, you know what? Yeah, let's go live. Why not? It's never a good time. You're never ready. And it's funny because I just went surfing the other day. My first time here being in Portugal.
Oh, cool.
I'm officially a surfer. And and I realized that, you know, I thought it's going to be this like 1 hour lesson of like how to surf, and then get out on the waves for like maybe 10 minutes, try to just get up on the board and maybe stand up on it. And it wasn't. The lesson was like 3 minutes. It's like 1, 2, 3, you know, it's like lay on the board. Here's where your legs go. They pushed us forward. That's your back foot. That was just very like super quick. And it's not over preparing. And then it's like a 1, 2, 3 step process. And the rest you figure out as you go.
Try and error. Yeah.
Right. Because you can learn to surf by watching it. You can learn to surf by studying it, or you can learn to surf by, having some basics in place, but by doing it, right? And finding kind of mastering it in your own way, and then practice and mastery. But going back to, you know, what we're talking about, it's really about being with yourself and enjoying the process. And for me, you know, my intention was just to enjoy the process versus having an outcome of having this, you know, being a surfer at the end. Yeah, I stood up on the board because I just kind of let go of it. I let go of that expectation, and I enjoyed the being of the uncertainty, and just, you know, the fun of falling over, the fun of learning, the fun of like sucking at something that you're new at, right? And so many of us don't give ourselves this permission to just be.
Yeah.
Because we want to have like that perfect picture or that perfect, you know, status of now I'm a surfer girl. And just an example, right? So paying attention to how you're being, I think, is the first step, the awareness of being out of alignment. So speaking of alignment, how do you know when you're in or out of alignment in terms of what you were doing and what you're doing now?
Right now, I could say, as I'm skilled with that, I would say I just feel it in my gut. I'm not happy when I'm out of alignment. If it doesn't light me up, it's like, yeah,
that's
I don't want in my life. I want wow.
Yeah, the body, yes, right?
I don't want
Yeah, so I'm a sacral authority as well. So in human design, it's a school of, you know, thought based on an energetic imprint that you have when you're born. And, you know, we can share more information on that if you'd like, but it's another great tool to get to know yourself. There's so many tools and methods out there to really get to know yourself, versus trying to be someone like, you know, I feel sometimes like this, you know, circle trying to fit in the square, and you just can't fit. So it's kind of like you just need to own.
And we don't want to fit. We don't want to fit.
No, but we did.
Overfitting.
We did. And that's the thing. And it's not always a pleasurable experience to try to fit in. For me, when I started at Google, I didn't have the typical education. I didn't have the typical background of some of these super smart, amazing people that I was surrounded with. And I tried to fit in, using the right vocabulary, dressing the right way. Like I cut my long blonde hair, dyed it dark, maybe I'll look smarter, right? We tried to fit in different ways. Yeah. I've come full circle. Yeah. But it's about being honest and authentic. And I think, when you get to know who you are, then that's where the authenticity comes from. You're able to express yourself because there is none of this living at effect of, will they like me? What will they think? What should I do? But it's like, here I am, right? If you like it,
Yeah.
great. If you don't, great. I'm not for everyone, right? It's like vanilla ice cream. I don't want to be vanilla. I want to be a salty pistachio.
Pistachio with cranberry sauce and nuts and some funky chocolate cream on it. So yeah, vanilla is just boring.
Yeah.
Don't try to be vanilla.
Yeah, but so many of us are, and we lose ourselves because we want to belong. We don't want to, upset anyone, and we want to avoid conflict, and we just kind of want to belong because that's a human need, belonging. But for us, I think we sought out the tribe versus then tried to kind of live that traditional and be the traditional. We sought out kind of not so much the rebels, because what we're doing, it's not rebellious. It's not a rebellious energy. It's just kind of owning our, what I call inner power, really taking the power back that we've been giving away, outsourcing it to others. And especially as a coach, sometimes I care more about the outcome of my clients and their business than my own, right? So reeling some of that power back, because what I did over the last few months is really, I felt complete with these one-on-one lengthy containers and completely, reinvented myself. I was the one getting the coaching. I was the one getting, and the new mentor, which is how we connected. I was the one doing the things that I was doing for others to help kind of get me to that next level. And it's a journey. You don't just arrive, one day you wake up and you feel different, and it typically happens like that. But it does take time. It does take a lot of work, a lot of
progress,
learning, a lot of embodiment. And I believe that the being and having this inner power and reeling back all this energy that we just give away so freely, without even realizing it. We have so many energy leakages, is what I call them. But bringing all that power back to you just, my clients, this is what they say, that I help them become like unfuckwithable, right? This is what they say. Like, no matter what. Yeah.
I like that word, unfuckwithable.
Yes, yes. So it's, it's no matter what happens in life, it's about getting stronger. It's about making your emotions stronger, making your heart stronger, rather than avoiding, the complexities of life and what it will throw at you, because so many of us want to bubble wrap. But here's the thing, if you want to, deal the punches, you got to be able to take some. And so many of us are just not willing to do that. And sometimes you got to fight a bit for what you want. But at the same time, that being, right, knowing your worth, knowing what you stand for, knowing what your boundaries are, knowing who you are, because who I am is not for sale, right? There's certain things I will not compromise. One of the reasons I left corporate, and, it was an amazing experience. I felt complete with it, because I didn't want to be told anymore where to live, what projects to work on. I didn't want to have the limitations that I had. I didn't want to be told how much to make, what days to work, what hours to work, right? It just no longer felt aligned, even though it did for many, many years. But the thing is, when you start hanging out with unconventional people and mindsets, you are open to all these possibilities that you never knew existed, all these, realities and experiences that are just not available to us, because, watching movies, it's like a pipe dream, right? Or watching the celebrities, oh yeah, it's them, right? Like, yeah, that's not for me. But when you meet these people in real life that are doing and being and having, it's a different experience than seeing it like on Instagram, it might not be real, right? Because so many people are performing.
Yeah.
And that just, I think, opens up a whole different level of motivation and gives you a different fuel, where you're not chasing, but
attracting,
being.
Yeah. I mean, there's a million things you just said that I could say something from enjoying the journey, which is super important, because a lot of people set goals and then they hustle and do the work and blah, 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 and do focus and concentrate. And then they reach the goal, and then what? They can't even be grateful or happy about it. They set the next goal and go hustle again. And I thought, this is not the way I want to live. I want to enjoy the journey. And even when obstacles come, sometimes the obstacle is the way. Because there's a good reason why the obstacle comes. Sometimes you just need to redirect. And the line to your goal, it's not a straight line. It's like a zigzag. But sometimes the zigzag is such a good thing, because on your way to your goal, you find yourself in a different way, or you find another goal. So it's really important to enjoy the journey. And the thing with the fitting in is, no, I forgot what I wanted to say. There was so many things you said. I was like, okay, Cassandra. So the fitting in thing is, I don't know. I forgot.
Totally unscripted, guys. This is very unconventional.
But with the masculine energy, my clients, so I work with women only, and I attract a lot of women who are in their masculine energy, who are successful with their businesses. Most of them are left brainers and totally in their heads. And it's funny because I was like that too. And what they forgot along the way is, reconnecting to the feminine and learning how to balance the feminine and the masculine. Like you said, we need both. So that's why I start from the inside out. So starting with the mindset, and then at the end, I go shopping with them, because the masculine also shows on the outside a lot as well. Like, some of my clients, they talk like men, they dress like men, they behave like men. And maybe they were told when they were in corporate before that you have to look a certain way in order to look professional, or people taking you serious. But hello, we are allowed to look like women. We are women. We don't have to dress like men, and we can enjoy being women.
Yeah.
We don't have to hide anything. It's a part of us. And I think it's so important to have those both sides connected from the inside, but also living it on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you just do the inner work, but you don't show it on the outside, people, then it's not embodied. Because a lot of my clients, what they lost is I found that creativity is connected to sexuality. And this means not like sexuality with a partner, it means with yourself, sensuality. Like feeling your body, embodying who you are as a woman, connecting to yourself, to your feminine. The whole sensuality part has been lost along the way on building a business. So this is like connecting to this and putting it back. And also the playfulness. Like most of my clients are super serious, super unflexible, and super tense. I don't know how to say, like, and finding this playfulness. And yes, you need structure, but you can have a playful structure. You can do everything with fun and joy and with ease.
Yeah.
And this is like the balance that I try to bring back to them, the feminine, the masculine, but also the playfulness.
Yeah.
And this is a game changer for them. Because it's like, then you fall in love with your business again. And you wake up every morning and you just you feel happy and you just want to work, but because the approach, how you do it, how you work is different.
So as a woman, for those women watching us here, how would a woman know if her masculine and feminine is out of balance? Because you can be, too feminine as well, right?
Yeah.
And I'm speaking from experience on this because, for example, leaving corporate, I was just very like kind of militant, get things done, get those emails out, go to meetings, right? Just very like executive type of activities. It was all about the doing. Now, the feminine for me, it's all about the being. It's all about the flow. It's all about like the freedom. And it's about having the balance, because coming out of corporate, which is very structured, right? You have work days, you have working hours, you have meetings, you have responsibilities, roles and responsibilities. Like it's very structured, right? Which within whichever company. And then having gone the complete opposite, going too much into my feminine, when I got to Portugal, I found myself, just being on the beach all day, collecting seashells and drinking wine. And I'm like, hold on. I moved all my clients to Monday and I'm like, nope, not available, right? So you kind of swing too much to the right, too much to the left. So how do you find the balance? Because it took me a while to arrive at that, because I tend to swing too masculine, too feminine. I'll work for 3 days and then take a day off and wear my flowy dress and, walk barefoot on the beach and get sand in my hair and, as we do, right? But at the same time, it's about the balance, more balance in our everyday life, right? Flowing through the masculine and feminine is what we're aiming for. So as a woman, how can you find that balance? How do you know you're out of balance? What have you observed? What has been your experience of that?
I mean, everybody has a different balance.
Mm.
And I just noticed that I suppressed my willingness to let my feminine come through, because it gave me a bad conscience. I was like, no, you have to do the work. You have to do. So I suppressed it, but it's not a good thing, because we need that time for ourselves. And for me, when I take off 1 hour, for example, go away from the desk and go in nature and walk, I don't think like, oh, I'm missing on that hour because I'm not doing anything. I'm just floundering, walking around the woods and looking at the trees and the bumblebees and whatever. But this hour gives me so much energy and creativity. It's like body lotion for my brain cells, and I come back and I'm so full of energy that I'm super more productive after the walk than I was before. So when you do things that fuel you, and when you walk on the beach and it makes you happy, you have the sun on your face and the wind in your hair, and you walk bare feet in the sea. Like the sea, for example, gives me a lot of energy as well. So much energy. And when you just take off for a walk and you go back and you are so productive the rest of the day, that's the best thing that can happen. Because sometimes we sit all day long in front of our computers and we're so much in our heads. And we think about something we want to do and we just don't get the idea, and the creativity is like, ugh. And then you need to go out and fuel your creativity, and you come back and have a million ideas, and you finish your program in 1 hour. And without that walk, it would have taken you 3 days. So you have to listen to what your body needs and give it. Just listen. Do I need fresh air right now? Am I stuck here 5 hours in front of my computer? My eyes are red and burning. Do I need to go for a walk? Yes, I need to go for a walk. Then go for a walk. Without shame or feeling bad, or we always feel bad about when we do something for us.
Mm-hmm.
But this is for our business as well. Self-care and self-love is actually a tool to make you more productive in your business.
Oh yeah.
And you can see it that way. You can reframe it that way without feeling bad when you take a bubble bath in the middle of the day. Take a bubble bath if you feel like it. And then when you're super when you write a program for women that is maybe about balancing masculine, feminine energy, and this is the thing you want to talk about. In order to talk about it, you have to feel it. You cannot work on a program like that and being in your masculine. So if you feel like, okay, I'm in my masculine, I go for a walk or I take a bubble bath, and then I feel like sensual and I feel sexy and I feel like, okay, now. And then you sit down, you write your program, and it's easier then because you are in the state of what you're wanting to create. So it's all about listening to yourself and giving yourself what you need.
Oh, I love that. And 2 things on that. First of all, I'm a sacral authority as well. So I come with sound effects. That's what I call it.
Yes.
Yeah. And, when it comes to, making that shift, like for me, from like the employee mindset and employee way of being to being an entrepreneur, I experienced a lot of guilt. For example, during COVID, we were inside the whole time, and that was my last year at Google. And we had to get out for a walk, right? You have to get that exercise. You have to go to the store. And instead of doing that in the evening, like I would typically do, I would just go midday. And for me, I'm like, this is fantastic. And exactly, like I found myself more productive, and, our managers were fully supportive of us, like blocking out that time if we needed to, right? Just for our well-being, because Google is very well-being focused. And I really got used to that. And here, this was one of my biggest shifts, because as an entrepreneur, as a creator, the work never ends. You're always creating. And I have some of my best thoughts, collecting seashells on the beach, or even just and having a glass of wine at a cafe. And, you just get an aha moment and it's like, yeah, that's the missing piece. So sometimes the productivity, the biggest breakthroughs, the biggest kind of methods that I create, they don't happen, me sitting in front of my laptop. They happen in my being, because bringing these products that I'm launching, they're not the products themselves, right? The product is also me. It's not just about the courses. So for me, launching them from a place of being congruent, not perfect, but congruent, right? Because there's always ways to improve. There's always ways we can grow, but launching them from a place of congruency and embodiment of what it is, because ultimately it's self-leadership that I'm teaching people, right?
Yeah.
And people come to me for freedom. And for 2 years, I was giving them the freedom that they were looking for: financial freedom, emotional freedom, location freedom, right? And I realized 2 years in that it was like right here, so I couldn't see it, like it's like right there. This is self-leadership that I'm teaching them. And it's like, you know what, let me pivot this to leadership, because I think with that it will land better. And as a result of the self-leadership that my clients have embodied and the work that we've done together, now they have the freedoms. But so many of us, we just want the result. We want to have what we want to have. But then we do things that are not necessarily good for us because we override the needs of our body, the needs of our emotion, the needs of our intuition, and we forget about the being. So yeah, we achieve these amazing goals, but the being experience of it is pretty miserable for many. So for me, it's all about focusing on the being, the power within, and really unlocking all that trapped power that we literally outsource and give away without knowing it. This is what I was studying and practicing myself, and like what gives me energy, what takes it away, and really the energy, because without energy, we can't achieve anything.
No.
And then the doing, what are the right things that support the being? And for some, that's, the working out, the going out into the nature. For me, self-care is important. And I thought self-care was, being home, having a glass of wine and eating chocolate cake, watching Netflix, right?
It's all about habits.
Yeah, but self-care is actually not that. It's actually getting your butt to the gym. It's actually doing the work. It's actually doing the meditation, which you don't feel like doing, right? That's the self-care, because that takes care not only of your mind, body, but also your spirit, right? If we're going to go a little bit woo on this live, because it's unconventional, but ultimately it's the self-care. That's what self-care is. And from that, you can develop a lot of the self. But for me, I believe it starts with the self-leadership, which originates from the being.
Yeah. Yes, because we cannot teach what we have not embodied ourselves. And I see unfortunately, I still see many coaches out there who teach things they have not embodied. And the thing is, you can smell it. I can smell it.
Energy doesn't lie.
They think like, fake it till you make it. No.
Nope.
People will find out. It's not a good thing. You got to start with yourself. You can't teach what you have not embodied and lived, because you don't have the experience.
Yeah.
Just doing a seminar and then the theory, and then taking notes and then teaching it yourself without having lived it makes no sense. So all those human design and money coaches out there who did one seminar and go out and teach, no, this is not authentic. This is not unconventional. This is playing safe. And also you are
unethical.
It's unethical, but also you're not doing yourself a favor neither, because you are not developing your own identity. You're just taking on somebody else's identity. When you teach everybody else's stuff and you don't even contemplate your own thoughts about the stuff.
Yeah.
Then there's zero of your identity in this program. Means like you're practically like a walking dead. I mean, like, what are you teaching? Somebody else's stuff. I mean, do you make your own experiences? And I think this is a self-worth issue as well, because some people may think I don't have anything, I don't have any stories to tell, I don't have any super cool life experiences, I don't have this, I don't have that. But this is because they never contemplated about who they really are and what their values are and what they bring to the table and what their vision is and what they want. Only they scratch the surface. And then they think, well, I'm not good enough. whatever, and just go out in a mediocre way.
Oh
And
yeah.
that's kind of sad.
And I see it all the time because, I surround myself with different people, especially, having been a part of Team Tony Robbins when I was supporting his mission after leaving Google, but before I found my mission, because I thought, I did marketing. I'm the marketing girl. I should do marketing. And I did marketing for everyone but myself. And I'm like, this is not congruent. I need to stop. I left a lot of money on the table because then it was about getting my marketing in place.
Yeah.
And, people joke that you should never do your own marketing as a marketer, right? Because it's just never good enough. It's never perfect. But, going to what you said, I see it all the time. People have success, and I like to think of it as like the golden triangle. And I have yet to see a person that has 3 out of 3. Some people kind of have it, but it's kind of impossible. And that's why coaching is, I think, invaluable and priceless, because you either have like really good success, for example, in your health, but then you don't have success in your relationships, whether it's with your partner, whether it's with your family or your children. I saw that all the time. And then, for example, your success in health. So it's success in wealth, relationships, and health. It's really hard to have 3 out of 3. Some people have 2 out of 2. So for example, they're super healthy, they have healthy bodies, they have healthy mental well-being, they have a healthy relationship, but then the wealth piece is not there. Or, they have a lot of money and they have health, but then they're single, right? So it's really hard to get 3 out of 3. And that's why as coaches, like I'm always evolving. I'm always, investing in myself, because as you grow, your vision grows, your needs change, your values evolve, and you meet interesting people that show you other realities and other possibilities and ways of living and being that you didn't even know existed because it was never modeled to you, right?
Yeah.
And it's such a beautiful journey. And for me, it's all about enjoying that.
Yes.
And yeah, just getting the 3 out of 3. So, when it comes to success, I think everyone has their own definition of success. So what does success look like for you? What does it feel like for you at this stage of your journey?
Freedom to be who I want to be, to do what I want to do. I mean, it's becoming who I want to be.
Yeah.
And I think everything else, like money or something, is a byproduct of the person we become. So it's not that my goal is like making, I don't know, 10, 20 millions, because a financial goal is never a fulfillment. It never makes you happy if you don't have a vision. So my vision is to help at least 100,000 women to become the best version of themselves and to be daringly different, because this is my new brand, daringly different, to dare to go out of the norm, to dare to go out of their comfort zones, to dare to claim their power, personal power, and to step into their higher self and to do the business they want to do with no excuses and no shame and no nothing, just, claim their power. And this makes me happy every time. This is what lights me up and fulfills me. So this is success for me. And also working on myself, in improving every day, leading myself through different situations, processing emotions, because this is like the harder thing for us humans, to sit with our emotions and to be the leader in no matter what happens, you are still you.
Yeah.
And this is for me success every day. When something happens, how do I lead myself through this? How do I manage to go through this? Because I want to be a role model for my clients. And as I said, I cannot teach what I have not embodied myself. So also I teach self-leadership, and that starts with me. So always when I catch myself doing something that, oops, okay, this is not self-leadership. And I sit with myself and I contemplate and I change. So the awareness comes faster. The awareness comes faster. And also being in an emotional negative state, for me, I am so happy that I can state change in 3 seconds. No matter what happens.
Yeah.
I know I have the tools, I know what to do to get myself out of there, which doesn't mean that I'm suppressing emotions or that I am putting away the pain. It's important to sit with the pain, but not to dwell in it. And some people just dwell in the pain and they love it because they get attention and they just stay there. And that's not healthy. That's not good.
Oh yeah. Yes.
Emotion handling, leading yourself through things and working on yourself, becoming better every single day. This is for me and being happy and having a life that fulfills me and my clients. I mean, this is success for me.
Alexandra for president. No, I
What
love
means
that.
success to you?
Yeah. So before I answer that, that's exactly it, just really understanding what's important to you. And I feel that a lot of us, because we don't know what our values are, we don't know what our needs are. And there's different types of needs. Tony Robbins talks about the 6 human needs, but we have emotional needs, and how do we fulfill them in a way that serves us in a functional way? Because, we were all in grade school and we were either one of these two kids, maybe in between. But the kid in the front saying, teacher, your arm is about to fall off. I know the answer, right? Like that annoying kid in the front. I was that kid, but I was also that kid, in the back of the classroom throwing spitballs at the teacher in the subject.
That was me.
Pretty independent on the subject, but yeah, like, so they both want significance, and one is, fulfilled functionally and one what we call dysfunctionally. And it's not like one is good or bad, it just is, but it's about understanding how to fill what your needs are and how to fulfill them. Because for me, being is all about fulfilling yourself, and not living at effect that at a result of your environment, your circumstances, at the effect of your money, your career, what's available for you. And for me, freedom is all about creating more choice. And freedom is not the goal, it's the result. So self-leadership is the process to get you the results, the success. The freedom is the result of that. So for me, it's about being yourself, knowing who you are, your identity, being congruent, honest, and in alignment with what's most important to you. So then you do things intentionally, because we all have limited amounts of, time, energy, and money. And the things that we invest our time, energy, and money in should be the things that are of our highest priority. So for me, that's health, that's my business, that's personal development, that's relationships, right? So, and then everything else kind of falls into place because I take care of my highest values. And a lot of people, they just don't think about that. We're just getting entangled and it just becomes chaotic. And then all of a sudden something doesn't feel right, but we quite don't know what it is. And then we sweep it under the rug, then the other rug, and then kind of our life just starts to fall apart and nothing feels right. So for me, like you had your patterns, right, that you've seen in your clients. Ultimately, I've been coaching one-on-one for over 2 years. And I identified all the patterns. I identified all the things I was repeating, and I structured them into programs. So the first program is about being. It's about the power within. And then there's one about doing and about having. And maybe I can, break my own boundary here. I'm not talking about what's coming, but this is ultimately a trilogy of what will be a year-long experience, which I've created. And I went out to create one program. And all of a sudden I have 12, and I'm like, oh my goodness, there's just so much knowledge once you sit down. And at the same time, I felt guilty for taking so much time to create these programs, but at the same time, there was so much within me. And because you keep learning, because you keep embodying, it's like, oh, and this, and this, and this. And it's like, no, that's a masterclass. No, that's a whole other program now. And it's a process. And at some point, you just got to say, you know what, that's it. Let's go. Right. And for me, I guess today is the day, because here I am announcing it, and because it was never a good time. You're never ready. Just like I was never ready to get on that surfboard. I'm going to laugh if I'm, going to become a surfer. And it's so funny because you do branding. And for me, like my brand, it's very professional, very corporate. I work with executives. I work with C-levels, very powerful people. So I'm very professional, but at the same time, I have this part of me, which is a total, beachgoer, drinking wine, going on the beach, walking barefoot, like total beach vibes, right? So it's like, how do I bring that together in the authenticity of it, of bringing, that part of me as well? And I think what happens is because we try to people please, we try to do the right thing, we overthink it, we don't embody what we are. It took me some time to let things and allow them to land. And, some of the trainings that I did, and I've gotten a lot of training in the recent months, because it never ends, it never ends. And something that I caught myself doing, it's like, no, I need to look a certain way. I need to be a certain way when I deliver, when I coach. And one of my coaches challenged me to be Clueless Barbie. Funny enough, the Barbie movie is coming out. So I literally had to sit here and like do my makeup. And I'm just like, oh my God. And what is the consequence of that? And just like completely out of character, and I delivered, still nailed that session. I was literally sitting here in like a bikini because I'm like, I'm never going to do that, right? With up in a ponytail with like glitter on, just going like, oh my God. And like, what did they say? Like just completely out of character. And it has nothing to do with, you know, it has everything to do with the intention and the quality of the conversation. But at the same time, the brand is not just the look, it's the being. So I had the being, but the look wasn't there, right? So as someone with branding, what do you think makes a powerful brand?
The look is always a reflection of the inside. The outside is always a reflection of the inside. And that's why, for example, when I go to networking events and I see women come in the door, you can see from the way they dress, the way they walk, the body posture, and the whole energy. I can see in 3 seconds what's going on the inside. You can see if they're confident or not, if they believe in themselves, if they care. And when somebody doesn't care about the way they look, what does that mean? I mean, people make subconscious choices. When you see someone, the first impression, the famous first impression, which was 7 seconds, I would say online it's even like 2. When somebody claims to be a coach in a certain field or an expert, but the looks are like, I don't care, what does that say? It's nonverbal communication. And the person who's looking at you would think, oh, if they don't care about how they look, first of all, they're not successful, because you don't look like this when you're not successful. And also when they don't care about themselves, how do I know if they care about me as a client? And you don't, subconsciously, you already decide not to work with them no matter what they say. No matter how good they are as an expert, you just made up your own opinion already in 2 seconds. Subconsciously, you don't even know that you made your own opinion, but your gut tells you, oh, there's something wrong. That's confusing because what they say on the inside sounds so professional, but the way they look does not match that. And if it's not congruent, it's out of alignment, you're confused, and a confused mind doesn't buy. That's it, you're done.
Yeah, definitely. And I think this is where coaching is so important because, you know, my health is something I've always maintained, but coming to Portugal, like, oh my goodness, it's just like the best food in the world, right? So, you know, I enjoyed. And then one day, you know, the bikini season came, I'm like, uh-oh. And I hired a coach, right? Because I needed someone to keep me more accountable in that area of my life. So yes, it's about the awareness, the honesty, but at the same time, if it's not something you can handle yourself, because for example, my number one priority was getting these programs out, right? So that part of my life kind of was put on the back burner because I was in full creation mode. I mean, literally for days, I hardly did anything because I was just in this like vortex of creation. And it just kept coming. I would just go to the beach for a walk and like, yeah, maybe do some squats, picking up seashells. Full transparency here for those watching my stories. You know how
doing squats while picking up the seashells. That's a funny picture in my head.
I behind the scenes of how I lead myself, and I literally have a spreadsheet where every day I put in my weights. I track everything that I eat. I think diets are stupid. I think that, you know, I don't like them. If people love them, that's great. I don't believe in diets. I believe in a lifestyle. And, you know, I was a vegetarian, pescatarian for many years. And coming to Portugal, I started eating meat again, just because it's a, you know, it's a different culture.
Yeah.
And this is not to entertain the conversation of what's wrong or right or diets or nutrition. But what I'm saying is that when I got honest with myself, even though I'm able to lead myself in so many areas of my life, that area needed more focus. So I reached out to a coach, to a nutritionist, who then helps me to make sure I get enough nutrients in, I get enough, you know, of the micronutrients, macronutrients, just because when I'm like work mode, I forget to eat. I forget, like sometimes I don't go outside and I'm like, oh my God, where did they go? You know, I'm just so totally encompassed in this, and all balance goes to like out the window. And ultimately, it's for me, self-leadership also means being honest and taking responsibility for areas of your life where I need assistance. For me, that was someone like giving me a plan. I literally have it here. Like I go to the gym, I have my little Post-it. I know exactly what to do, how many times and how much I lifted. I come home and put it in my spreadsheet because I have a plan, and a plan is everything. So I'm clear, right, about what to do and how to do it. And then he's like, well, I think you can lift a little bit more. No, you can lift a little bit more. So, someone challenging you because they're keeping an eye on it, because we play small. Sometimes we do the bare minimum, right? And I'm guilty of it too. Like yesterday I went to the gym, I lifted what I could because I was super sore from surfing. And it's like, at least I went, I did what I could. So I'm sure I'll get feedback on this. But my point here is that it's okay to get support. It's okay to get help, whether, that's therapy, whether that's a coach, whether that's someone that will help to manage you. Because when I left corporate, I need a freedom maintenance plan because I just went book wild. I'm like, I have all this time. What am I going to do with all this time? Like, oh my goodness, I can go live anywhere I want. I can go do anything I want. I have no limitations. It's like, it was a little bit overwhelming. And then it took a while for my mission to set in. So I supported Tony Robbins, but it's about, going through the process and enjoying that journey and having a plan. And, per your comment, for me, once I started working with my nutritionist and trainer, that's when what self-love is, really kicked in, because I thought self-love was, getting enough sleep and, oh, I love myself. I'm worthy of that bag. Oh, I love myself. I'm going to have the chocolate cake. I deserve it. Yeah, that could be self-love, but I think self-love is really like kicking your own butt when you need to, going to the gym when you don't want to, doing these things, that taking care of your space when you don't feel like it, really being honest with yourself and going after what is honest and true for you. And for so many of us, it's buried under shocks. It's buried under, I'll use the word trauma. It's buried under the expectations and wants of other people. And once you get to the truth and really uncover it, and as a coach, I've seen this consistently, someone comes to me with one thing and leaves with something completely different. Because once you take off those layers, it's like, you know what? This is not actually it. And when it comes to success, a lot of people are successful. It looks great on paper. But what I'm interested in is how you feel. How are you being? Because if you're being miserable, if you're being depressed, if you're being stressed, like, so what if you made 6 or 7 figures? Is it worth it?
Yeah.
In the process. So it's about redefining success. It's about redefining the activities, the do's, the doing, and maybe doing less and being more. And, that is the masculine feminine balance there, right? And the balance is not 50-50. It might be 80-20, 60-40, 90-10.
It's funny when you talk about self-love and kicking your butt to the gym. Because I also gained weight during the last 2 years. Because we were home, gyms were closed, I was frustrated, I had a lot of Zoom calls drinking wine. So yes, I gained weight. And I found that what I did is I punished myself for that. And the consequences, I was hiding online. I didn't go live. I didn't show up so much, the visibility. And I had an excuse because I didn't feel good. So, and then I started, okay, one day I said, okay, now it's enough. And I started to do intermittent fasting and to eat healthy and to do workouts and walk and do all the things. But I noticed that when you go on a diet and you track everything like you do, like when I write down and I put myself on the scale and I gained 100 grams. Oh, I didn't eat this. And you punish yourself all the time for not doing this or not doing that. I see women do this a lot. I have not fulfilled my goal. I didn't lose weight this week, because we know that sometimes it's stagnant. Sometimes when the body changes, sometimes you don't eat and you just still don't lose weight, and then you get frustrated. So what I learned, when it's like you said, it's not a diet, it's a lifestyle. What I learned is to love myself unconditionally, no matter what. And the size of my body has nothing to do with it. If I gain 10 kilos or not, it doesn't matter. And if I don't lost a thing this week, I don't care, because I did my best. I care about myself. And it's not about the number that I put on my plan. I don't even have a plan. I eat what is healthy, and I know what to eat and what not to eat. but I don't punish myself when I eat chocolate cake.
Oh,
And
no.
when I do it intentionally. I eat it and oh, I, I love it when I eat it. I feel good when I eat it. And I don't have a bad conscience afterwards, like, oh my God, you ate that chocolate cake. Now you have to go to the gym and work out 3 hours. No, I eat it with intention. And then I go back to my healthy routines. I think this is also important with
Yeah.
self-love, that you love yourself no matter if you are a little bit more or less. And you put your health first, but you don't force it. You don't punish yourself. You don't beat
Oh.
yourself up when you have not followed the plan. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And I see a lot of women do this, and this is not a good thing.
Yeah.
And
And that's
enjoy it. Enjoy it. Have fun.
Yeah, of course.
And
And for me, like, I measure things just because of the piece of awareness, right? Because sometimes we're not aware. There's just no information there. So the key to change, the first step is awareness. So, sometimes like I'll have a piece of crackers and it's like, whoa, that's 400 calories. And like, I'd rather have that chocolate cake, right? And I share this authentically, like kind of joking at it, in my stories because, I don't believe in diets. I believe in enjoying and, enjoying, and it's not about avoiding things. I still have my wine, I still have my chocolate cake, trust me.
me
But at
too.
the same time, being responsible, knowing that, I don't have that wine every day, I don't have that cake every day, right? But just when you have that craving, when your body wants it for the
Yeah.
right reasons, but at the same time knowing that, loving yourself and that self-care is also knowing that the next day I'm going to have a salad to balance
Yeah.
it out, because
Yeah.
everything is a balance.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
That's all it is.
And we got to measure things to manage them. But
Yeah. I mean, I do it once a week. But
yeah,
the best thing is I have one pair of jeans, my favorite pair of jeans.
I love this
And when
conversation.
it fits, I'm good. When it doesn't, I'm not good.
Love that. Love that. Yeah, but everyone is different. And when it comes to leading yourself, it's easy to lead ourselves in areas of our life where it's comfortable, where we have the certainty, where we have the confidence. And it's sometimes challenging to lead ourselves in areas where we don't. So how do you catch yourself and arrive in the awareness that you're not leading yourself in one area of your life, whether that's your health, your finances, your relationships, your business? How do you catch yourself? Because awareness is the biggest.
Yeah, I mean, we all have those little voices
Yeah.
that talk to us all day long. And controlling your little voice is like difficult, but it's the most important work that we have to do every day, because the voice shows up every day. And I have like a whole chorus sometimes telling me, you can do this, you can do that, or you're stupid, I'm not good enough, blah, blah, blah. We all have those voices. So learning to control those voices is like the most important thing. And I mean, the awareness, when you're trained, the awareness just comes. I can't even explain it. You catch yourself when you're out of alignment because it feels weird in your body. And
Mhm.
also, I catch myself when I am distracted. I tend to get distracted. That's part of also, I found out it's in my gene keys. Distraction is my shadow side. So I'm easily distracted because I'm a right brainer, and I get fired up very easily for a lot of things. And I get distracted. So I know that. I know it's a pattern. And then I know what to do in order to not get distracted.
Yeah.
So that's basically, again, knowing yourself, knowing your shadow sides, knowing your patterns. And then you can actively, when you catch yourself, oh, I'm getting distracted, go back to work. Okay. But I do it in a loving way, not in a punishing myself and negative self-talk way, which I did before, because this is not helpful. And this
Yeah.
is what we do. We talk so bad with ourselves, even in our thoughts. You would talk with your worst enemy like that.
Yeah.
And I changed that completely. And sometimes I catch myself that I say, oh, you stupid thing, what did you do? And I go, no, don't. And I don't talk to me like that anymore, because it makes you, it brings you in a bad negative state, and you don't feel confident, and your energy drops, and your frequency and your vibration drops. And then you're not in a good state of doing anything.
Yeah.
So the way we talk about ourselves, even the way we think, our thoughts, control your thoughts. How do you think about yourself every day?
Mm.
This also is a daily habit that we need to train. And when you get aware, oh, I said something to myself I shouldn't be saying, and I correct myself.
Mm. Yeah, the awareness piece. So for me, I refer to the shadow self as saboteurs. We have 10 saboteurs that are available to us at every minute of every, second of our being. My biggest saboteur is avoidance. And
Mm.
it's interesting because I catch myself when I'm avoiding, when it starts showing up. It started showing up in my clients. It started showing up, you kind of attract what you need to work on. The universe is always inviting you. The triggers are your biggest present in terms of, the next area that's being ready to be handled. But yeah, avoidance was my big one. And, when it comes to this inner voice, I think that the relationship with yourself is the most important relationship that you can have. And for me, I was single by choice for a long, long time. And because I wanted to have that relationship with myself, and I didn't have that relationship with myself. The relationship with myself was at effect the result of what was happening out in my real world. And
Mm.
now, no matter what is happening, that relationship with myself, like I am my own best friend. And that took a while to build. And that's something I also work on with my clients, because having done that myself, I kind of know the key pieces. But it takes time. It takes time to develop these skills that we want from the external world. Because yes, your confidence can come by keeping the word to yourself, but your confidence can also come from the knowing. And the knowing, for me, there's nothing more powerful than the knowing, the deep knowing, that gut feeling, the sacral the right? It's the knowing.
Yeah.
So for me, like moving to Lisbon wasn't scary because I had a knowing. Why am I here? I still don't know, but it feels so good.
Yeah, it's cool. I think this is
Right.
like trusting your intuition, following your intuition, no matter what people tell you. I guess you had some friends telling you, "What? Why are you doing this? Why are you moving there? You don't know anyone. You don't speak the language." La 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 la.
Yep.
And you said, "I don't care. My sacral says,"
Yes.
and I go. And I think this is unconventional, and this is bold and brave, and this is super cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if not now, then when? Because once you're married and have kids, you cannot say, okay, let's pack the bags and fly somewhere tomorrow and live there.
Yes.
You
Exactly.
can't. So the
Exactly.
best time is always right now. And we always postpone things. Like one day, someday, I will be doing this. Someday, I want to live there and I want to do this and this, Someday is not a day in the week. There's
Yeah.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. There is no someday.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Exactly. Exactly. I love that. And it comes down to the relationship because it gets tested. Like here, I get tested every day, my patience. Am I able to hold my emotions? Because
oh,
everything is
yes.
duality, right?
Yeah.
So, and it's, you're growing in ways you don't even realize you're growing. But I would not be able to come here had I not had the self-trust, the self-guidance, the self-leadership to prepare, the being. The being is everything. Because
Yeah.
from being, I can then do the right things to have the things I want. So freedom,
And
like,
even if you make, yeah, and even when you make a choice and it turns out to be not a good choice, then see it as a lesson
yeah,
and learn from it and move on.
yeah,
Because not always the intuition, sometimes you have a feeling, okay, I got to do this. And then later you say, okay, maybe it was not a good idea. Although my intuition said yes, but it's not perfect. Sometimes you're wrong. But then it still is one of those obstacles along the way that in this moment you don't know why it happened, but in hindsight oh, this was something I really needed to learn, so it was a good thing that happened, and it redirected me on my journey to wherever I want to go, and it made sense. In hindsight, it is just everything is just perfect the way it unfolds. We just got to trust our journey and
yeah.
trust.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's where, coaching is so powerful because sometimes we get stuck in, for me, like I was in a rabbit hole. It's like, okay, tomorrow. It's like, no, it's ready. But my circle is like, no, not yet. But I'm really like not liking you for all the right reasons for just going live because now my announcement has been ready for like weeks.
Now you can't pull back. You said it. Now you gotta go out with it.
Oh, it's here. But that's the thing, even we need our peer groups to kind of, give us the extra. It's like,
Yeah. It's important to really have an environment of powerful people around you. so you can hold each other accountable, give loving little kick in the butts, and motivating and inspiring each other. But also I learned that those people come only when you are in a certain frequency, because you attract who you are. So if you're like victim playing, doing your own dwelling in pain and me, this is the kind of people you attract. And the more we grow and the more we evolve, the more powerful people we attract in our field. And this is super cool.
Yeah. So one question for you, sometimes as a coach, as someone that's very passionate about, constant evolution, constant and never ending improvement, how do you catch yourself, not constantly fixing and healing and optimizing, self-optimizing? Like, how do you balance that feminine and masculine, right? Of being and doing, but also executing, right? So learning and doing and working on yourself, but at the same time, getting yourself out there to get what you've learned, to get what you've done out into the world. How do you balance that?
So when I'm too much in my head or when I'm too much in my masculine, I go for a walk. I just have to reconnect with myself and ask myself the questions. This always helps me. For some other, it would be like going to the gym and do a workout or meditate or whatever. But for me, it's just nature walk and to reconnect. And of course, sometimes I have to kick myself in the butt and say, okay, I'm going live. So I have to trick myself. For example, I go to Ecamm because I use Ecamm to go live. Like you just installed Zoom, but I use Ecamm. And in Ecamm, you can plan an event in advance. So what I'll do is I just plan that events and I put the timer and the, like, I don't know, Friday 2 p.m. And I put that timer and that timer is on my timeline. So I cannot say I'm not going to do it. Sometimes you got to trick yourself, Or like you just did, which is good. You announced you have those programs and you're going to release them. So once you said it, you cannot go back. That's not professional. So you got to work on that. So sometimes we got to trick ourselves with that.
Yeah, I feel like I'm 9 months pregnant with a triplet.
Or it also helps having an accountability partner where you meet on Zoom, for example, and you set your goals for the week and then you just follow through.
Yeah.
Whatever you need, do it.
Yes. Yes. But at some point, like, the body always lets us know, like, if I'm not sharing, it's like my face gets tight. It's like, what am I not saying? Like, is now the time? Your body, like, even it tells you, especially once you get tuned into the body, right? It's like you feel that it's like the body is ready, and then your head is like, no, not yet. And there's a conflict.
But that's a little voice. You got to trick the little voice. You got to say,
and
I'm good. I
because,
gotcha.
even as a coach, it's like you're aware of it, but you catch yourself experiencing it
all the time.
And it's like it never stops, but it's like
never stops.
Yourself through it, right? It's about that self-leadership, because just because we know it, just because we've embodied it, doesn't mean we're immune to it, right?
Yeah. No, of course not. Never. And it's daily work. It's every day. The little voices don't go on vacation. They are here all the time. And they talk to you all the time. Yeah. And things happen, and your emotional roller coaster is on every day. Something happens.
Yeah.
Oh, and you can find excuses for everything. And sometimes I when I say them out loud, I have to laugh about myself because the excuse sounds so ridiculous.
Yeah.
I catch myself and I'm like,
yeah. But the pivot for me with the relationship to myself was the primary question, which I learned from Tony Robbins at Date with Destiny. And it was ultimately the primary question, which was my primary question without realizing is, well, what if I fail? Like, what if I mess this up, right? That was my primary question. And once I was able to reframe that to like, what can I learn from this? Kind of coming from an angle of curiosity, like nothing was so scary.
Curiosity is the best thing. And when we were kids, we were so curious and we didn't care about anything. And when you learned to walk, you fell on your head like I don't know how many times. But you stood up every time and you kept walking. And we as adults, we're so in our head like, what if I fail? What if you fail? I mean, as long as you don't do the same mistake twice, I call it failing forward.
Yeah.
And now I reframed it in a way that I love to make mistakes, And the more the better, because this is my teaching material for my clients. My clients benefit from me making mistakes, so I can teach them so they don't have to do the same.
That's actually a whole module in one of my programs. I love that you touched upon it because did you know that kids cannot learn to walk without building the muscles which come from falling so they can get back up?
Yeah, and it's the same with us too. We have to build the muscle.
Yeah. The staying power, the resilience, the self-trust, the knowing that we're going in the right direction for the right
Yeah.
reason, and having the right fuel to go there, because so many of us, like a kid doesn't learn to walk because it's like, oh, I gotta, chase my mommy, she's gonna leave me, right? That's a different fuel than, oh, there's mom, she's holding her hands out, she loves me, let me walk, right?
They
So
just don't overthink. They just do it. And we overthink
right, but the right
everything.
fuel of like wanting to do it because you want to go get that hug versus like, fear of abandonment. But so many of us do things and achieve success with the fuel of not good enoughness, self-doubt, the ego, proving something to ourselves, the fear. And I think
Yeah.
that fuel, it serves us, but there's a much better fuel that is
Yeah.
available to us, which is fulfillment.
Yeah. So not out of lack, but out of need, but out of desire and joy and
Yeah.
willingness to grow.
Oh yeah, curiosity, growth, evolution. I
Yeah.
think that is the best fuel ever. And the failure is always available to us, but so are the lessons within it. And failure way to success is how so many people, have arrived at where they're at. We
You
expect
can't grow if you don't make mistakes. If everything is perfect every day, you live in La La Land, you live in Barbie Land. There is no growth, no evolution, no nothing. And this is boring also.
Yeah.
Because
So
you talk about your mistakes more than about your successes. You learn from your mistakes. So I don't even call them mistakes. There is no mistakes. It's just lessons.
I call them data points
Hmm.
of what not to do. So let's say, people watching us here, someone makes a mistake. What is the best way to kind of, not sit in the ugh, as we say, the sacral ugh of it? How do we pull out those lessons? How do we move on? How do we use that mistake, that failure to propel us forward?
When you don't put it away, when you put it away and like, oh, I don't want to do this again, and you feel shame and guilt and you go on with your life, then you haven't learned anything. So you got to sit with a mistake and look at it and contemplate. Okay, what happened? What did I learn? What can I do better next time? And then you embody the lessons and then you move on. And then you slightly won't do the same mistake again. But if you don't think about it, just put it away and you feel bad, you can do the same mistake like 10 times,
Yeah.
which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
So it's really like sitting with it, looking at it, being honest to yourself. You can take notes or you just contemplate. Most people just don't contemplate. They just don't sit with themselves and think. They're just distracted the whole day doing things, but they're not sitting and thinking. And we need that time to sit with our things, with everything.
Yes.
So, but this is something I had to learn as well, because I was on the outside so much and not so much on the inside, contemplating. I found it boring to sit with myself and
Yeah.
just think about things.
But it's so easy. And like looking back, at things, it's like, going to seminars, it develops you, but it can also be, it can become a seminar junkie and be very avoidant of needing to do the right work, moving the needle that needs to be moved, which is the execution piece versus the learning, right?
Yeah, because you take in all the informations and you take the notes, but then what? You put the notebook on the shelf and then
Yeah.
so you got to contemplate about what does it mean for me? How can I integrate this in my business? Maybe you don't want to integrate it because you feel this is not my strategy. So you learn that this is not your way, you do something else. But all of this needs time to contemplate and integrate and embody.
Mm-hmm. And what is your understanding of like thinking versus contemplation? Because there's quite a distinction, isn't there?
Contemplating is, I love the word contemplate. So I think it's going deeper than just thinking.
Yeah.
It's contemplate is really, really deep digging within yourself.
Mhm.
pulling out the treasure and really like when something happened and contemplating, did that happen maybe in the past? Is this a pattern? What happened back then? What did I learn from then? So it's like one thought leads to another and to another and to another, and then you just come out with so many things and lessons. And yeah, that's contemplating is right, going deep. It's not just thinking 1 minute, oh, I'm done, check. It's like really going deep.
Well, if you think about it, thinking is what we're taught in school, how to problem solve, right? 2 + 2 is 4, right?
Yeah, and that's it. Yeah.
Go from point A to point B. So we're taught to think, we're taught to solve problems, right? But contemplation, and I think this is where the masculine and feminine comes in again, because thinking is very masculine. Meanwhile, I think contemplation is very feminine because it has no outcome. It's like the golden thread you just pull at, and it's like, what about this? What about that? And then it just takes you in a million different directions. And it's such a beautiful process, and it can last quite a while, but it's a skill that has to be learned too. Like I thought I was a good thinker until I learned contemplation. And, with contemplation, that was a game changer on so many different levels.
Even the series that we started with interviewing each other, and the topic is unconventional. This is one word, unconventional. And you may ask 10 business owners what that means to them, and everyone would give you a different answer. So this is about contemplating. What does unconventional mean to you? And this is not a question you can answer in 3 seconds. You really have to contemplate. What does it mean to be unconventional in my life as a person, but also what do I do unconventional in my business? This is something to contemplate. And that's why we want to invite everybody listening to really sit with yourself and contemplate, what does unconventional mean to you? And are you living it?
Yes. And I wanted to echo that and add that unconventional in a way that it's true to you. It's aligned with you. It's unconventional because it's your way of expressing yourself, authentic to you, versus unconventional in a way of trying to prove something to someone or coming from a place of like rebellion. Like, no, I don't want the 9 to 5. I'm going to do the unconventional. That's not unconventional.
Unless they have their own explanation of what unconventional means to them, then feel free to share, because this is so interesting. I would love to know what people think what unconventional means to them. We have our own contemplation about that word, but maybe someone has something else. This is worth a discussion.
Yeah, I think it's important to touch upon like the source of it, because unconventional, it's kind of a way of being, right? We are unconventional. We don't, and then we do unconventional, right? And then as a result, we have unconventional lives, right? We have unconventional incomes, we have unconventional ways of living and the freedoms. It's unconventional. And I think that if it comes from a place of kind of like trying to prove something to someone or as a rebellion, I think it does not give you this unconventional. I think it gives you something else. I think it gives you like an ego boost, an experience of the ego, rather than what I believe a true like unconventional experience where it has nothing to do with anything or anyone. It's unconventional because it's you. And it's not the norm. And because each of us are unique, each of us are different, each of us are, want different things and define success different ways. And, we lead ourselves in different ways, in ways that are important to our lives. And I think that unconventional, it's a way of being. It's not an end result. It's not a thing.
Yeah. I mean, you can have an unconventional personality because you grew up in a totally different way than a normal person. But you can also do things unconventionally. But sometimes one person does something that is unconventional for them, which is totally conventional for someone else. Like you said, unconventional does not mean being rebellious and doing things outside the norm, but maybe someone has been a people pleaser and fitting in all their lives, and then one day they decide to break out. So this is unconventional for them. For you, being a rebel all your life, this is not unconventional because this is just who you are. So it's so different for each one of us what that means.
That's
Yeah.
so true. That's so true. And I think unconventional to me means also like kind of being the black sheep, and not from a place of, you know, trying to prove something to anyone, but just really kind of being authentic and true to myself and doing things for myself, but not from a place of like selfishness, because deciding for myself doesn't mean deciding against someone else.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can reframe that, because black sheep used to be like something not good. For
Mm,
me, being a black sheep is like a compliment, because I don't want to be a white, stupid sheep going with the masses. So you
yeah.
see, you can reframe it. Being a black sheep is, yes, is unconventional, because it's black, and and even though maybe the others are making fun of them because it's black, it's definitely different. But if he loves his fur, his black fur, and he thinks he's beautiful and strong and confident and everything, that's perfect. I mean, yeah, I love to be a black sheep.
I love that. I love that.
Be the unconventional black sheep.
Yeah. Love that. And it's about owning it, isn't it?
Owning it. Unless when you don't own it, it doesn't matter what kind of color you have, because you will not be happy, and you will not be, and people smell that you're not confident. They make fun of you. Whatever you are, own it. It doesn't matter what it is that you can have green hair, blue hair, whatever, own it. Not because of, I want to be different, like, because it's cool, but I want to be different because I feel that it's me. That's different energy.
Authenticity, right?
You don't have to prove anything. It's just
Yeah.
who you are, and you have the courage to be it and to live it and to show it to the world. That's it.
I love that. And with that, Alexandra, I think we were going to go for 20 minutes. I think we're like, because the first time we connected, it's like 3 hours later.
I know. Well, that's unconventional, right?
Yeah, yeah. But
Not
it's
scripted, and then yeah, sometimes but when you're on the flow, and I think it's a cool topic, and there's a lot of contemplation to be made about. So we don't feel bad about it. We had fun, and we hope that everybody who listened to the end had fun as well, and might be contemplating about what unconventional means to them. That would be cool.
definitely. So if you're watching this far, thank you. Thank you. I hope you've enjoyed the conversation and had some aha moments. Please do comment below if you have any questions for us, or if you have any comments or your interpretation or definition of what unconventional is. And thank you so much for watching. And hello again to all those in my Facebook land. Stay tuned for more announcements. Stay tuned for my masterclass details. And remember, you can be, do, and have anything and everything that you want, is my final.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes. So thank you so much, Alexandra, for joining me here in this informal chat, which was very much so unscripted. Thank you very much for inviting me to go live, even though this was supposed to be recorded and released. And thank you for challenging me in that way. And yeah, thank you for everyone. I hope this was valuable. And yeah, let's be unconventional.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much, Alexandra. We'll be in touch. And thank you, everyone, and have an amazing one.
Have a daringly different, unconventional rest of the week.
Oh, yeah. +1 to that. Thanks, guys.
Bye.